Group, Mary Phillips isn't sure she's going to.
With the drawings and stuff for the Austin Park mural.
All right, let's get started with this meeting. This is, I don't know, we have to do this. We have a quorum.
Let's see. Representative Chelsea Ware.
Chelsea Rath, I'm here.
Oh, sorry about that. Vice Chair, Councilmember Overton.
Is here.
And Chair.
All right.
I was going to say David.
Okay, all right. So.
April.
David wasn't here.
Just to make sure something, and
You'll have to keep track.
so we can keep track of everybody that wants to say something. All right, we're going to a little bit. We're going to start with item number 3, discussion of upcoming. We have a presentation by the Martha, Barbara, and tell us.
Line 2, and I understand Mary Phillips is the one on the Zoom. 998-1124. Question is, did everybody get a chance? We sent out the document. Okay, super. So as LCRAI, and of course, has been really art and artists as a community. I think we had worked with your committee before. Violet and Michael did. Research has shown more specifically over the last year that economic impact. You really need to focus in the rural to something absolutely dazzling. You can and if you took a look at the document, we researched the idea and found that it really does, in terms of being a dramatic, given the circumstances, America, all across America, has found itself in terms. And the COVID situation is just going to So we've been putting, and we've named it Clearly Creative, off on, I guess, what they're doing with the TID in terms of their marketing with, what's it, Bruno, Clearly Different, I think is and we increased dramatically looking at relocation, research that a lot of their employees, these employees are saying to themselves, why don't we find some charming, artsy location to. So we're also looking at the issue of real. And with that, doing a project that we help manage, and if there's an adjacent park, to and diversity, art installations. I think our small towns could really use, and in fact, the investment in it is probably, from what we can tell, would be more dramatic than almost any type of investment that could be made, economic investment in terms of small town or rural America. So that's kind of the overview. Phillips, who hopefully is on the phone. A great national to get that grant. Turn to our first choice, to a city to highlight what we want to do. It's applicable Lake County, so we're really looking at this in Clear Lake that would bring but also in terms of and I know, Bruno, you and I have had a discussion, and we're very grateful move it forward today.
And I'll just add exactly a plan that's been happening in Lakeport, but there's been a lot of activity as far as adding arts. It's not a cohesive or 1 mural here, 1 mural there, but it makes area to really kind of it just changes the vibe when you're walking wall paint, and we saw the building prior to the mural in Clear Lake, but as a whole that we would see, it definitely added a whole lot more. A little bit more with Martha about some of her ideas. One of the ideas is the idea that the blue are one of the infamous ones of those throughout the street, going in different poses. That it looks like they're moving sculptures that are attached to walls, attached to power poles, or whatever. Will add a lot of vibrancy to the setting of our main street. I think that just that's one of the many ideas, and for when people come and visit, or people want people to remember us by.
Thank you, Bruce.
I have a question. What are you looking from the city for? Are you looking for help you with this application, or we do the application? What's the process, and how do we?
And Barb might be able to talk to this. The Lake County Arts Council is actually going to be the organization that's necessary to have, who would be the city or the grant would be applied. It's a grant that we can ask for up to $100,000 from the NEA if we can get a match to that. And so we would have, if we got a match, we'd have $200,000 to basically as a grant. Correct, Barbara? Correct me if I'm
That's correct.
And I know from our team, Mary Phillips is also working on the grant. So we would be doing the grant, and basically we would be, along with the LCAC, basically managing a fairly extensive part of your main street, more likely the part, doing some things in the park itself. Amazingly attractive, not just to tourism, but to businesses. We know that once you're more likely to get other tourist restaurants, wineries, etc. So the idea is that we would help manage, applying for the grant. Decision that this is something that in the park area of Clear Lake would be an extraordinary use of your resources, and would be something you'd want to engage in. Search if you need to, but with the match, with an community donors, we could hopefully very quickly, because this, one of the things about to put together, but they started a particular time and they ended a particular time. August 1st, with a city that says, yes, we're your partner. And also with an understanding that we have the matching up to 100,000. Even though the grant can go up to 150,000, Barb Clark, who knows grants, says that they tend to look more favorably at the ones that are. What we're asking for from you is, again, do you and some of your budget dollars into would be good for you, and if so, we're looking to make the decision fairly particular grant, which is need to be done.
Okay, so when we talk about several main streets here, so Drive is now becoming, so I also want to start kind of working on those two things. Does the match have to be money, or and then my third. My third is letter and get sponsorships from maybe the one of it, say $10,000 sponsorships, so that maybe that will also help with bringing in money. So there's my questions.
Okay, question one. Can we do outside of the park? Absolutely. The grant is, fortunately, we get to create it. It's called Our Town. That's the name of the grant through the NEA. It's an Our Town grant. And one of the main reasons we definitely come to you first is because the requirement is it's arts groups that are partnering with a governmental agency that is saying, yes, we want to make this area a art place. Work that in. It is good to have a focused, might be a little, they're not sure, but if you say, no, we're making this one place, but at the entrances of the two main roads that go to that place, which for us, you know, would be the Main Street and Olympic, we will have beckons them to go down the into, does it have to be all cash? No. You can do in kind. However, in kind, there's a whole form process to have it approved at the federal level, that that's a worthy in-kind value. On it, I've just drove to try to get cash values because it's way easier. Right. Third question, can you get sponsors? Absolutely. Anyone can donate money as long as the whole point is partnering and getting the partner groups to donate. Something that Martha didn't mention, to create and help facilitate some festivals. And you have that lovely new amphitheater. And I'm already working with partnering with the theater company. We're just working on ways to make more things happen. And so it's not just gonna be these arts that you see, it's gonna be these events that you feel and you get into, and hopefully will perpetuate. And we'll have to create ways to make these sustainable so that these are long-term. For those of you that don't know me, 11, I grew up in Clear Lake. I went to Oak Hill. I graduated from Lower Lake High School. Woohoo! This is really in my heart. Clear Lake's not awesome. So this is really one of the things that I want to see. Clear Lake, and I want it to be seen for the beautiful place.
My next question is there any type of funding that the city would have to help with any of this? I mean, like right now, do we have any funding that we would be able to even put towards something like this?
It's going to be a little tricky. I mean, due to COVID.
Yeah.
I'd really like to figure out a way to a little more difficult than it would have been.
Well, since it's they talking, you know, afford to, and there's no doubt anybody will. Can we earmark? See that, like for that, I mean, we contribute way, like
I know you don't like the in-kind thing, but we could do both. If we did some, maybe the city could help get the sponsors.
Does anyone have any perspective on that?
50.
So Bruno's got his hand up there.
Bruno, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm on a state conference call. We're talking, and I guess hasn't signed of, and I'm sorry to use the term, but we're amongst friends. Is there a shell game that can be played with some monies that's being placed right now in your budget that can be replaced by the CARES Act funds that can maybe release some funds to be able to support that? I'm willing to go to the county, $20,000, $30,000, because I think this is a pilot program. Lucerne on 13th Avenue going towards the castle, where we beautify that and just make it great. But I want to see the pilot program start off in Clear Lake, and I think that the county would benefit to seeing how that works and how that functions. There's also definitely that they have not really seen a loss due to COVID-19, and they always maybe if the grant opportunity is not available, that doesn't mean that we can't write them a letter and ask them to be a sponsor of this. And at the same time, I'm thinking about our neighbors right outside of Clear Lake and even inside of Clear Lake that are growing cannabis, and they have a large amount because they have not been hit at all by COVID-19 either. So I think that there's some opportunities, and I think that some to just say we have it. We approach it in the way our best to maximize from the to get to the maximum amount of cash to match.
Question, I've been actually brainstorming gas to try to finagle right. The festivals, we've got a lot of wiggle room and a lot of creation room for us to brainstorm. I'm finding at the NEA and the California Arts Council, and even more so now, but on open and equitable to everybody and making sure that we have a very large Native American population, and we can work with some lines and see if they'd be willing to help us to celebrate their mission.
So
yeah, and I think that the match doesn't is July 1st when the match actually
This is something that's really tricky about the matches for people. It has to be spent during the time of the project. It's a 2-year project, so it'd be $50,000 a year if you were breaking it up. You can do it at any point. So if it's all $100,000 given in the first year, we're good to go, and then the next year is all paid by the federal funds. But yeah, so it has to be spent during that time. So you can save the money and set it aside and have it for them, but we don't need it until then. We're not expected for anyone to hand money over until the project actually starts and we're doing it. So that gives us time.
So
I think
We do have to.
I think what I hear you saying, and I want to make sure we're clear on this, that we have to guarantee the match, right? Before August 1st, we have to know that we have and will have the funds. People have to say, yes, we have it. But they don't have to pull it out of their pocket. 1st, 2021.
Depending on what they're giving towards.
that's possible that the money as far as can we joint effort with the city and use the city as, since you say we need to be involved in it, maybe the city would be the basic person to maybe send out the have their name somewhere on a plaque that says all these people sponsored and that sound.
Sure.
Does that
Yeah.
sound like?
I think we can raise 5,000 to 5 from those cannabis businesses. You know, there's a variety of people into this pot to get it done.
Right, 'cause it's something feasible in our budget.
Oh, just,
This will be my second. Such a big gap from when you apply to when the project happens. They'll ask us to a year from now,
Things change.
someone, because it's so far in the future. So there is
A little
time,
wiggle.
and especially with everything going on now, they know that things are changing all the time. So as long as we can get, and yeah, I think I can, you know, as long as everything's working, there'll be a chance where we'll come back out and say, is everybody still good with what they promised? And if not, how can we fix it?
And just to make it clear, if we feel this is doable and we can submit the grant saying yes and an organization, we wouldn't wait until July. We would start working with you, pulling together, you know, the groups that are needed and some businesses, because all the businesses who are going, you know, in the area and even beyond are going to do well by something like this. We know that art destinations can bring in a dramatic amount of monies to the businesses that people you know, use as they come in to see the arts. So we would have the time to be able to pull all these constituents together, the tribes, the businesses, the government, you know, some other nonprofits, to put together an extraordinarily disciplined. By the time we get started, I believe strongly in the city of Clear Lake that people are going to be. We got to come and see.
we can commit to the 100,000.
I would say that, but as time just kind of go down, you know, if we get the Indian tribes on board and they donate 20,000, where you still have that 100.
If you guys are open and okay. Local heritage.
I think that's great.
I'm actually really, so I'd be glad to bring it up, but I didn't want to.
Well,
Yeah.
Barbara, I mean, along that line, it may happen, but like, we're involved in. I can tell you that from that experience, and even from the folks through Tribal Health, there is an interest in some type of native performances and ceremonies and stuff associated with our park and other things in the city. So I don't think that'll be a problem at all to make that
We
happen.
would love that.
Very cool.
Yeah. So you're good to go, right?
Thank you.
The only concern I have, Dirk, is listening to Bruno talk about playing a shell game with government funds. That's my concern.
Well, be careful with that.
We didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's-
Alan, I learned from the best.
Yes, can't we will. But since we've got a whole year here, like I said, is if the city says, yes, we'll back, but as money comes in, then our share would, you know, deplete down, hopefully, because, you know, we do have, and maybe do other projects, you know, as time comes on. So, because I think that's I think all parts. So, you know, I'm definitely want to bring those in, so.
And as long as we can make the $100,000 grant match
Right.
happen through the city or businesses, we're basically getting $100,000 of free money.
$200,000.
You know, make clear like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
in our city. Yeah, we love free money, right?
We all do.
So
All right,
Bruno wanted to say something.
So,
Joyce, go ahead.
Well, Bruno wanted to
Bruno, go ahead.
Yeah, so if the grant is due, when's the grant due? August 1st or something? Possible to see out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, however, one of the things, and you'll notice on the second piece of the document, we talked about kind of the project steps. One of the things that we made clear is that we're not forcing any sort of particular art plan at this point. Our first steps in terms of the project will be to bring together the constituents and some artists and, you know, and really put together what we think is going to be representative of Clear Lake, is going to be dazzling so that people are going to absolutely want to come and see it from everywhere. We thought about multi-generational as well. We talked about that because there's a lot of nostalgia, I think, about Clear Lake and the lake. So we have some project steps that first start with putting that physical art installation structure together. But by the time, you know, we get there, we'll have a very specific understanding of what we're going to do. Does that answer your question, Bruno?
Yeah, no, I get it that you can't submit something specific because you haven't gone through the artist.
Pieces too. We want to make sure for Clear Lake and for the park that everything and what we do coming into Clear Lake out on the, you know, the major highways and things, that they are structurally they're sound and that they work with everything else that's going on. Close downable for a festival. All those things we want to make sure. I think a lot of us here on this team have done and really dot all your I's.
This is Mary Phillips again. We submit, so you're absolutely on board and know what the grant says.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
David?
A quick question. Obviously, this is. I'm just curious if any maybe fun we can continue to support this out.
I get really excited. I'm sorry. Part of it, absolutely. I've had a lot of projects I try to the way they just to create something and getting that when we leave the partner, and I want to make sure that there's a money. Hopefully we'll keep the ball rolling. So yes, absolutely. You too, Bruno. The way we're writing this also is structured to the point where we individuals that will be our brains that know things like how murals work and sculptures work, operate, and how production governing committee city will also, because what we do, because some, so it's important to get but it will have all of us, and we'll government, that's all they do, right? Committees. That's the plan. So that project, what the art is going to be, to make sure that us things are happening like we thought it would.
Yeah, Barbara, I think what you're alluding to, Barbara, and absolutely thank you for that, is that part of the project plan is put in project management, very specifically in terms of the various pieces, so that they happen well and they are managed as they go along.
Great. Well, I'm excited. So I'm as excited as you are, Barbara.
Yay! Well, we've been
Bruno.
talking about this forever.
Bruno, you're up.
Just for the record, I volunteer my time to make sure and try our best to get all the funding that's needed to decrease that to the maximum for the city. I think that there's enough activity going on in this county, and there's enough dollars going around in this county that I'm hopeful that we don't have to touch the city coffers for this, and I appreciate that.
August 1st, but yes.
For
Thank
the
you,
grant.
Bruno.
No, July 1st.
All right.
Thank you, Bruce.
I have a quick question for Chelsea. Chelsea, you feel going to be part of this? And
Yeah, I think they're going to be excited. I know some kind of artwork come in and mentioning, oh, I see faces, and I said, yes, they'll be for everyone. Time.
Nice.
Direction from us or where we are on this?
I think you do. I think you've been. I can hear you are too. I think this is going to the direction and the narrative forward. I know I for the community. So I thank you. I think we have what we need to go forward.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Barbara.
But
Right, we shall leave you then.
You don't have to go because we have other art stuff coming
No,
up.
we go to our agenda item number 1, which was the
Murals.
discussion of placement of a mural at Austin Park and the Senior Community Center.
Cool. I'm sure, Violet, you're going to be taking this over.
Guys.
You guys have been working on this already a little bit, and
Yeah.
just
Last I saw, Michael's microphone was muted, so Michael.
Hi.
Michael!
Expressed interest in the front. It said that you weren't quite sure, whoever had sent it wasn't quite sure what they wanted to do with the backside. So, and I can show you those right now. Host disabled attend.
I think, Alan, are you hosting the meeting? Michael can do a screen share.
Yeah.
If you enable that.
He promises to do something okay. It's not going to be bad.
Now you can look at. Okay. So, this is one mock-up for the.
That's the back.
Here we go. So what we were thinking is aspects of. We're talking about different parts of Clear Lake, and we have these really lovely flowers that grow here. Cool to sort of show some of the world that we have around us, as like the main. Still having sort of this like retro feel in the background that brings people in and stuff, so that the becomes the main focus of the front. And then I made one for the back with a giant dragonfly and a little girl flying a kite, people on the picnic, often on this side. So and then the back side here's more orangey highlights, and the front side more purpley highlights. So they're very like different in tone and the feeling of them. But it sort of brings, because it's a park too, and parks have flowers and whatever else might happen there over time, I think it adds that element of nature and of Clear Lake, really. Anyone want to say anything?
No, it's good.
You do know that there's a different roof on it now, right?
It looks better, it'll look better.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
You might want to take the
And
color.
also,
just the front has been removed, it won't be going back on there, so you have the whole canvas.
That's cool. I just kind of your sign probably have to be here by law. Oh, that's great. You know, you've seen the other mirror here at this point, you know, that like clouds and sky, they get kind of like all worked in, you know, all in the mural, you were definitely planning on painting this front side, and there was a budget of to it is obviously more, but I think that we would be able to do both sides for 8, in that, you know, we're already there and set up. A lot of the paints would be the same. Like I said, it's all the same greens. We would just kind of shift and then we'd be able to do both sides of it, and it would be
we might possibly try of the brick would be much easier for us to see here when you just like leave the brick in. There's still a fair bit of texture to it, and working on the buildings, I'm not sure that would make a lot.
I think it's already painted.
Okay, yeah.
It's cool.
It doesn't eat up so much paint.
It was more of like an if then. If that could happen, then that'd be great. Yep. So anyway, that's where that's at. Again, you know, whenever.
He said $8,000 for both.
$8,000 for both of them? Okay.
Yeah, we could, so a lot of the design work and a lot of the footwork of going and buying paint already be there. Adding the extra square footage to the back is actually one job instead of 2.
Yeah, even though it's
At that point, the square footage is not a big deal for us to add.
they're talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, I don't.
I think that looks sides too. I don't remember if there's room on the sides of the building.
I know that the picture. Hold on,
We didn't
let me
have
go back.
the sides of the buildings.
I know the north side is flat, the south side kind of has an entryway into the restrooms.
Yeah. Design something additional for the other side, and
Really feasible for us to basically.
Yeah, I don't know if there's actually room to put something there, but I was just wondering if somebody looked at that. So if you walk around the building. Bruno, go ahead.
The picture back up, the one for the lakeside.
The purple
Please.
side.
yeah.
The one with the car.
Yep.
Yeah, because what I like about it, and I'm not trying to change it, but what I like about it is it kind of gives me that feeling, not just of flowers, but of grapes as well, because it has that same look.
Yeah, we could definitely work something like that in. Once we start, like, the drawing, then, lots more little
early vines in here that I'm realizing now,
right.
like
It
out,
just
but
gets more interesting. When a good idea.
Just kind of almost like, I mean, to me, it's already blended in. Like I can already see what, automatically when I first looked at it, I looked more on the left-hand side of the flowers and I thought grapes until I got to the bee and looked at the flower. Then I said, oh no, those are flowers. So I just love that because then it kind of adds two things in one.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe on the ladies' side of the bathroom where there's just the poles, the men's and the women's, maybe that could be something that could just be the grapevines. We're not necessarily a mural, but you could take and paint it down around that.
Yeah.
So, I love it.
When Alan first sent me an email, he's like, and I know he had mentioned that there used to be a baseball diamond there, so like that in, but it was just like, there's no baseball diamond there now, so how kind of honor where the park is now and where right now without like confusing people of like, why is there a baseball diamond?
So for what it's worth too, when you were talking about, maybe we'll just put like, several pelicans rather than the darker sort of like hawk or whatever, thing going on there.
The other thing that we were going for is obviously all those discussions that we've been having for a long time about how to, get Clear Lake on board with this is that, and without like, focusing too much on whatever theme we end up going with for the larger art installation.
Broad enough.
So that like the fisherman is somehow outside of that cohesive picture.
Right, and that's broad enough so that when other people, there's enough like of a container that there's a really broad selection of things to draw from, and it I think ultimately creates a really more interesting artistic view perspective. I don't know where I'm looking for.
Yeah, you don't want to create a container that's too narrow, because obviously that stifles creative, output. But when we start bringing in additional artists for these larger projects, then the creative output. Really trying hard when we were coming up with the images for this. All of this can still be tied in together.
Bruno, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just, I know you guys did this for in on your picture without your approval, but I just love that you're using the perfect skin tone on your characters so that everybody who walks by can really identify with it because it's that perfect medium.
Exactly. The skin tone, the shapes of humans' faces, etc., should just be anybody.
Yeah.
Just like the one with the, and that's a nice thing with the insect, the zoom in, like there's people that again, like they can be anybody and anybody. Plus something like this, because people love taking their pictures with murals, and taking a picture with giant bugs or flowers and stuff, like in that kind of photo.
A lot of the style art installations, like the relocation, somehow complete it, brainstorming a bunch more murals for around the county. person who's taking the selfie or you're taking a picture of your friend, somebody who stands in front of that dragonfly, it's a pair of wings, because there's murals like that all over the world where it's just a pair of wings that you stand in front of the art. It doesn't need somebody. Then it's pretty cool.
Awesome. It also is for some, Joyce is,
So much. I'm going to maybe get some opinions on what we might be able to do. We have the building going up that we can put a mural on. We have fall now that I'd like to try to get some kind of things on those. Plus our garden, kind of make that kind of a central arts area too. So I'm hoping that figuring out what can we do over there. We try to see if there's some people that might, because we just want some direction on stuff, but there's just, we now have a big generator there that's supposed to. When they were putting it in, I said, well, if we could do murals around those type of things and kind of certain areas, like a collaborative area, like that could have a lot of different arts things in it. So I was just looking at maybe some opinions on what we could do. No offense, that paying a lot in the future, right at the moment. Members together, because I know that, and then people, when they wanted to, they came and that block, and that's all they. That we could, is on the block, and they're just painting like they do down in the cities and stuff.
And we could feasibly do some majority of painting or paint buying, then it's just really design work for us. And there's all kinds of I guess levels of engagement that we might be in, but it would be up to you guys. If you just wanted to design from us, then that's pretty affordable. But if you wanted us to say take the projector out and actually put an outline on the wall so that there's basically like a coloring book page, right? Sort of fill in the rest. That's another level of engagement. But yeah, we can definitely talk about stuff like that.
Like a lot of different artists bring together and they have a big meeting and they put that mural together. And then somebody wants to come and paint, they take block number 1 goes here, 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 and somebody paints, one artist might paint this one block, but another artist might come and paint another block, and it's done in sections.
Done anything with, I've definitely done multiple murals. Michael has as well. Just random community members. Sometimes they end up as 10 or 12 other artists. We'll do stuff like that on stage sometimes with a stage, and a bunch of artists will work on it. I've never done books, but I can see even just gridding out the design, right? We make on it that are to a scale, right? Something like that could very feasibly be done.
See if I can hook up with some of the people that are working on, a long time ago, but where the baseball field is, and we wanted to do different sports, so we were going to have some artists just draw out, and then we were going to have it printed up and have it in the blocks to where even a kid can come and help paint, you know, because it's just a block, and they just, you know, here's the numbers, here's how, they have a paper there that says what colors are what, basically. And I said, like I said, it's a paint by number type thing. You take this block, these are the colors you gotta have for this block for them. So, but we're not gonna have a bunch of money to just go paint these colors we're giving out, so.
Waiting until July under this larger grant. You know, that's something is that, you know, it doesn't necessarily projects, like I know we've already sculpture, but I know you guys wanted to maybe do some other fish around. So projects like that could very easily town grant. And we didn't really have a chance to mention stuff like that. I don't get the might be spent, like definitely on $1,000 than a, you know, a $5,000 project over here within our theme, and you know, feel like waiting.
That will be here before we know it, obviously.
Are you guys familiar with the senior center there? Up right now there?
No.
So what can be done there?
So
My you want to engage community in this, and I think that's of like their part of it instead of just someone being as artists are. It's like, oh my God, people mean well, but they who do know how to use a paintbrush. You know, tons of people, kids in high school and stuff, who probably could do that really well, especially if it was in the guise of, we've drawn this thing and here's what the colors are, here's your section. And then just did an outline over each thing when it was done, then it kind of cleans up all the edges. But it's a way of like engaging with a younger population who can help. I remember talking with Bruno, I think once, about how you need to have like possible, but it's a way to, I think, really engage, but engage in the segment minded who could make a thing like that really happen.
Well, I'm not just talking to kids, I'm talking like anybody just young, it could be old. Well, of seniors that are great artists. I mean, they draw some fabulous.
It doesn't turn into a mess.
Right, we've seen very good artists, so you know, would like to do these things.
I mean, all ages would be welcome, obviously. For those people who have an artistic bent, who can like apply or say, I want.
Okay, Chelsea, you wanted to say something. You had your hands up for a while.
CSF or even Stanford Hospital doing their own little projects. So even if we don't do one that's of them or something, so then people can each do their own little like that, and they give you a little time, and their hallways just line in, trying to help them with their therapy, but it could be something similar to finding somewhere.
Hi, Stephanie.
Yeah, Joyce, just email or call us, and you know, we can further that conversation. I think that, you know, the first step for what the building looks like and basic dimensions, you know, like
it's up, I'll know. They're supposed to start putting it up this, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
It's not going up today, so.
For Violet. The entrance sign to the city on the corner of, and we want to kind of replace it with a sign that's similar to the one at 53, sorry, not Old 53. If you have a chance to look at that and see if you can come up with something, the owner of
I
that
did look
property-
at it.
The owner is willing to talk to us, but he likes to kind of see
He said he did.
what would be appreciated.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. All right, if anybody else has anything on murals and placements of murals? City directional signs. I don't know who's supposed to.
I put that on because anything for the senior center, community center is so small with those signs. I thought were going to be much bigger.
Same size as what we looked at before, so.
Big in person.
They're really small. You can't really, I mean, you can't really read them. So I don't know. I think we need to maybe look at something, and maybe not, but maybe when bigger signs that are going to be like at the entrance, because like when you come off, the sign's so close to the road that you're kind of past it because you're coming around that curve onto the road, so you're past it before you know, and it's so small you can't even read. On some of the entrance ways of read as you're coming around, and maybe
You shouldn't be driving so fast.
Go ahead. You
I
have your
never
finger.
go above the speed limit.
How much did we spend? And my second question, or I guess more of a comment, is I think this is the directional signs are a perfect part of implementing that within the art plan, because you could do more than just have a direction. I don't want to say structure, but some artsy situation. And so I think that if we're looking at upgrading it, which I agree, it's small, and I think it was not anticipated to look that small from a car, because when I looked at it when they were right next to Alan's office, they looked great. We anticipated. And so if we almost it cost for the size that we have now, and then we implement it within the art plan that we just spoke with Martha about, that I think we would get some really nice.
So just as we do that, maybe this is something to keep in mind. Possibly could be the only one that thought that they were going to look. I just kind of wanted to see, and I like that idea of things that we look at that as we're doing that kind of stuff. So.
Okay. All right. We have a calendar here. Is there anything? We will have the fireworks.
That's it, right?
Off the calendar, however, there's still, I think I talked to Bruno already, that we're still on for the car show.
And we need to, even Chief White, to kind of figure out what their plan, what they would like the plan to obviously implementing social distancing and seeing what's possible. Hybrid, transitional, seeing what's going to be possible and whatnot. So I think I need to take some time with Alan to see what his vision would be for that.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Don't ask me how I got on this call. my iPad, anyway, it doesn't matter. So, but my question, help me, David.
Indeed.
So, and then I see it's off of the agenda.
Well,
So I have a question.
go ahead, Joyce.
So as I was listening to the radio and people talking about the different things that they haven't been able to operate. So here's a thought, and I don't know if the chamber might want to take this on, but is there a reason, since we already are going to have a lot of boats out there, works, we could maybe talk all these boaters put out, you know, social distancing still gives the feeling of of not having the parade. And so I was just thinking, we have the boats that we could put out there, decorate your and do just a boat parade. I mean, there make a little bit of fun. They be really pretty with all of those lights on. What do you think, guys?
They do that on the Russian River, where I grew up out in Monterey. Well, I grew up in Guerneville, but they do that, but it's with canoes, and so it's something that's like right before, and so it's interesting. We would probably want to say something like no fire if we do it, because I have seen some mishaps with tiki torches and people getting excited with that, but besides that, everything else was always interesting. It was something extra to do right before the fireworks would start.
Is that something
Lakeport has
the chamber might be able to think they might be able to put out?
I think we could. We're going to have our meeting tonight, so I'll definitely bring it up to them and get some feelers. But I feel like that's something we could probably connect with in a row, and I could definitely send information out.
Bruno, go ahead, and then I have a comment too.
Involved with the city, the Lions Club, and Dr. Pace. Conversation. In fact, I would suggest that at this moment in time, and I just yesterday with Brian Martin, that we possibly could be the only area with fireworks in the entire Northern California. And so he was not telling me don't do it, but he was just saying now, which makes him very nervous. But that Dr. Pace may say all of a sudden, there's some hurdles, and I don't know if the city is still in a state of emergency, so I think there still needs to be that conversation with Alan and the city to make that decision. Uphill battle if it's going to be a parade, because a parade is not an event where you a street where everybody's doing whatever they distancing is going to be rather difficult to say versus in an event in a park. Then you, I'm giving you not my personal opinion, I'm giving you where public health will be coming from.
But Bruno, are you talking on the water, which there wouldn't be any contact?
Is that obviously the city doesn't have any. Will have to be able to today's environment. I don't know if that's.
You're going to have 100 boats. Put them to use. They're going to be out there anyway. People can see, like people, when they park there and they can see the boats if they're lit up and stuff. I mean, I watch it every year. With the sheriffs are going to have to be out there. It would appease the people that would. And I think since the sheriffs are gonna already have to be out, just parading them around in a circle for, that's my opinion. So,
I think.
And I guess, not in the lake.
I think.
People.
I think you need to.
Chamber has to see if that's something feasible. And like I said, the sheriffs are gonna be out there, hopefully they just say, yeah, that.
We'll definitely look into it.
So let us know.
Came up or deleted or?
Well, we still have the Derby in September on the calendar. However, it happening in September.
I hope we can have it in September, so I think that should be to pump our Derby, the soapbox around here, like the, you know, like the frog jump or something. I think our soapbox Derby needs to be it. I think we need to have artwork that has a soapbox Derby in it. I think we should have a soapbox car put, like the one you had, Alan. You should donate it to the city and just actually put it up on a pedestal and let's make it your thing. First soapbox Derby car, you know. I know you give it to
the Heisman Trophy.
raffle. They should they should just donate it back, and we should actually, I mean, I think this is good, but I think we need it. We need a name. We need something that's going to draw people here, and I think that's it. You know, I've been thinking, what can we do? But I for the year, we could
You
really.
just want to see me win again.
We could take your car if they donate it back. Soapbox Derby, we need to advertise that.
Michael, go ahead.
So I've made a bunch of really fun posters for different kinds of things. I'd be happy to share some with you for a bike day bicycle parade that happens in San Francisco. And I could probably make something that would be really fun for the Soapbox Derby.
Great.
That was commemorative and stuff. I've been making them every year for a little while. Be happy to show you a couple. They're fun.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Bruno. What you need is a tall pedestal, and the winning vehicle is what's up there on the entire year until the following year.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
There you go.
That, you know, but I do think that this soapbox
We steal your car.
should be up, every year your car should be up there.
If he wins the next time.
If I enter, it will be.
Yeah. The Soapbox Derby should be our stamp, because I mean it's really hard to get something here that's like, I mean I thought
That's our own.
I thought the worm race, you know, it's really not, but I think the Soapbox go on and it gets bigger, we can have, you know, maybe some big, it's something that's just working up to it. It takes 3 years to get any event off and going. I just think this is one we should concentrate. Really be, you know, doing things, you know, and making some money off of it to help pay.
We have it scheduled for September.
Here's my submission.
Oh,
cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, done.
Love it.
Carry on.
Colorful, like
Great.
it stands out.
Sounds like an album cover from some of the records I have. Oh, boy, that dates me, doesn't it?
Is that something that we're still going to do? Oh, that's what.
Anything more that we need to add to our calendar?
Scrub everything in the fall if we can, you know, still do something.
How much are they about the outdoor event? I mean, dudes, by that time we need to be able to start going back to life, you know?
Chelsea.
I would say don't worry about it. By the 4th of July, things will be a lot more normal. I just, it's gonna have to change. 4th of July without being able to have some sort of celebration and just to allow it to happen. Just
Chelsea,
my opinion.
Chelsea,
Back and forth. I think it was earlier. I'm going to talk to the board about it tonight. I'm sure we can go ahead and help with sponsor of the fishing tournament dates that we had before, or it's all open.
I think they're going to, a couple of them had to cancel, the ones that are close.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for potential new dates from both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Okay,
and
perfect.
yeah, they are. I spoke saying no, they're just waiting.
all
Yeah.
right. Anybody else on the agenda? If not? meeting
Oh,
is-
yes. We need, never done this year because of the high school graduation and the posters. Should not be the last time we use our land. 4th of July stuff, and I think getting some of the service clubs to help us out with that. I don't know, but this is from now on, this is what we.
Pass on that, Bruno, to put those posters up?
I know that. I don't know what the initial amount was that the school had to obtain. I think those things are probably close to $40-$30 a piece, and then getting. So that it's cost. Those props. Let's say you have whatever it is that you put up on. That's not a one-time use. Multiple years, and so. But I think that's something that we can't just let it happen and not recognize that that was never done before.
How much that cost, and then kind of see how much.
I will contact Becky Salato and ask her what it cost the school.
Thank you.
I was also wondering,
Ask Willie
does the
Cepeda, I
city
think. Willie would know.
help put all those up?
I think it was volunteers. I saw.
Was volunteers? Okay.
It's not legal.
Even in the small town that I grew up in, and during Christmas, I'll just say that, and it's been the same exact ones every year. And it's definitely less posts, you probably don't have to do and just make sure it's like certain strips or something. I just know that's like the big ambiance. I grew up in Forestville, and they have their big Christmas tree lighting, and that's like their big money, a little larger up here, but that's just my idea.
Great idea, Bruno. Will be on the agenda.
Get you some of that information from Becky.
Thanks. Anybody else has anything? If not, meeting adjourned.
Never talked about the map.
Oh, that's
So
right.
the quick came back online last week, working with Stephanie to copy edit and make some changes, unfortunately, but adding a few others. So once they're back up and running the print shop.
And Clear Lake Campground. Clear Lake is 2 words. Thank you. And Alan, do you know if across the street from Foods, is that, do you know, have any idea? It looks like they're almost finished with the interior. Are they just,
Do we even know what it's gonna be called?
Okay.
or anything? Yeah, we don't know.
So Chelsea, you need to go talk with.
Go talk to the new owners of the New Mexican.
I could try to reach out to them and see if they have like a Popeye or something.
we do know the name of it.
What's the name?
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
All right.
Don't wait, David.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Awesome. Thanks,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. I always get the chair that goes in.
You do. It's just your chair. It used to be me. I'm so bad.